tall on your feet. Later make up the difference. Toss and turn in your sleep. Family, I know you miss them. Shift and rock from the streets. Starting to get the picture. Fight for your life to feed. Watch how you turn out winning. This shit just easy me. I pray.
3, 1, 2. Switched it up on them. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Unleashed GodCast. For those of you who are watching, as you can see, this is the Unleashed GodCast official apparel. Link will be in the description for it. For those of you who are new, or those of you who are listening, welcome to the Unleashed GodCast. For those of you new, this is a podcast, this is a GodCast, where us three gentlemen, we pretty much get on here, we talk about a variety of different things. Mainly focused around like the esoteric philosophy, philosophical, spiritual realm, the esoteric parts of life. Also talk about more mundane things. Now with that, if you got any questions, if you got any suggestions on topics that you would like to hear us discuss, or just want to hear our take on it, you just send it to us through DMs on social media, or if this is a YouTube video you're watching, just type it up in the comment section and we will see if we want to talk about it or if it would be interesting enough. But yeah, that's all I got for the intro. You gentlemen got anything?
Nope. Say what? Episode 7. So if you're new, I mean, welcome. Go check all the old stuff out. There's some good stuff in there. We talk about Buddhism and some other crazy things.
Here you go.
A few of the episodes, I mean, we may or may not have been inebriated in theory, right? But it's good stuff. I'm glad we're all here doing this. I hope you guys are enjoying as much as we are.
Yeah, buddy. Lucky number 7. Well, before I get into the topics and the official start of it, it's just a shameless plug. Yet again, like I said, this is official Unleashed GodCast t-shirt. As you can see, that's us three on there. It looks just like it, doesn't it? No, not really, but hey, it represents the GodCast. So, yeah, if you go check out the Etsy store, there's going to be other apparel. I mean, you got shirts. Well, this is the only Unleashed GodCast shirt. Godlypotential shirts. That pretty much is the brand that I represent. We are, all three of us pretty much makes up the Unleashed GodCast. But if you're interested in just the Godly Potential stuff, it's on the Etsy store. For life coaching. So pretty much basics of spiritual life coaching. Pretty much I offer that as a service that I provide to people who are interested. You can check that out by going to the website. It's www.mygodlypotential.com. And yeah, like Steve said, just check out the later or the earlier podcast episodes and share them. But without further ado, let's get into the topics. So the first topic is going to be, can you believe in God and not believe in religion?
Yes.
He said it like, you gotta tap the buzzer. Yes.
Hey, like quick round robin, just give you answers. Steve say yes, I say yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Unanimous.
All right, next topic.
All right, question number 2.
The reason I believe in that so much is because of how many times, because we're in America and it's a Christian nation, and Jared and I grew up with Judeo-Christian backgrounds, right? The Bible's been written how many times and rewritten? Okay. I talked about it in the past with the Quran as well, that sometimes there's no translation, like at all. So it's a semantics game, and it's how you interpret it at that point, which means it's no longer its true message. And also religion's been weaponized by almost everyone and used as leverage, or used as, as a piece, as a pawn in a chess game, if you will. So with that being said, it's like, yeah, I can definitely believe in God for sure. But the organized religion and everything else that it kind of goes with it and represents, I could definitely, see how I'm one of those people. Initially, that's how it started for me. It's like, I don't really like how I like the idea of God, but I don't really like how it's been wish-washed a handful of times for certain agendas throughout history.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think you can definitely believe in God without the religion. Because nowhere in the Bible does it say you have to build me, something like the Vatican City to worship. Right? It doesn't say any of that, but yet, because of agendas back in the day with control, with Rome and the Catholic Church, it happened. And I've been to Vatican City personally. Yeah, I was in Vatican City. It would have been spring of 13, and literally as you step into Vatican City, right? Like as you come in, you see homeless people and beggars, and you see them everywhere in every major city, right? But they're really not allowed in to Vatican City. And then you go in there and it's like, wow, how do you motherfuckers have all of this wealth and shiny? And like, I get it, if you feed a stray animal, it'll stay. But at the same time, nowhere in there did I understand that God said we need to do all of this. But I feel like we shouldn't have all this. It should be fucking the bare minimum, and then you need to help everyone else. Otherwise, you're really not about it. Now you're just more of a Fortune 500 company with the religion sticker slapped over it. You know what I'm saying? You buy a shitty Honda Accord, and then you slap a Mercedes sticker on it. It doesn't make it a Mercedes. You know what I mean?
This is true.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think I have the view I have.
Yeah, I feel like maybe just because this question, some people feel like that church is your only bridge to a connection to divinity. It's like, oh, without religion, then you can't connect to God. I feel like some people may believe that, and that's just not true. Because if that was the case, one religion is going to think that the other religion is wrong in that because they're believing in a false God, and it happens throughout all of them. So if you ask any religion, do you think they believe in God, or you think they believe in the right God or whatever, the next religion is probably going to say no because they're believing in a false God or whatever. But you can, like, I am not religious at all. I might have dualistic, or not, that's not even the right word, but like I said, retract what I just said like a few seconds ago. So I'm not religious. However, I do believe in a creator. I do believe in a God. It's just not the God that's portrayed in major religions. Okay? I don't really look at God, the creator, as being a humanoid being. I know they say, or it's the question of, did man create God or did God create man? I feel like people who feel like God is a humanoid being, those are the people who created God, that image they created. And so I don't look at it that way. However, I do believe in a God, but like I said, I am not religious.
Yeah. Me and Brian pretty much in sync on that one. Like, I do believe in a God, but not God as in the sense of how religion depicts it, especially like Christianity and like all the sects of Christianity. It's possible to believe in one without really needing the other, because some people, they say God is, the source in some, situations. Religion to me is more so a man-made framework of structure that's supposed to make you think a certain way, operate society in a certain way. And I don't really think that it's needed. I believe that you can have a very close relationship to however you deem or imagine God to be, without having to go sit in a building or a church, you know what I'm saying, to receive the religious side of it. Because at the end of the day, everything's going to be internal anyway. Can't nobody tell you how to have a relationship spiritually with anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, that'd be a bridge that you cross on your own, alone. I mean, if it was that simple, everybody would do it. So I feel as though, like, yeah, pretty much like you don't need religion for it. Some people need it because some people need that foundation, that guidance, that almost like a hand holding through life. You know what I'm saying? To help guide you and show you right from wrong and teach you deep moral values and stories, which is pretty much what the entire Bible is laced with. Some people need that, and some people don't need that aspect, and they just need that spiritual connection with a higher being that they may not know exactly what it is, but they know that it exists and that it is a part of everything that operates day-to-day life.
Would you maybe agree that it has a little bit to the way I understand it would be like a sense of belonging or like an identity, something that someone who's lost or never had a foundation or never really had loved ones, someone just who had a tragic upbringing, probably, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're saying that like people who need it are like ones who kind of been through some stuff and they kind of need some. Yeah,
Not
I
all.
gotta see that because I'm sorry.
Not everyone, right? That is religious is because they went through something tragic, but the sense of belonging for people who don't have an identity, right? Like, maybe kids in foster care. The only thing that kept them sane throughout their whole youth was having a form of religion.
Yeah, I get that.
And that's kind of like what we were saying in our it was about 3 videos ago. We were talking about religion. And I said that religion has its place in society. You know, it definitely has its places. And some people will need it. Like how you saying, like foster children, people in violent situations, people who witness horrific things, traumatic experiences. It is a lighthouse to some people, you know what I'm saying, when they're out in dark seas. So it definitely has its place for it.
Gives them hope, something to hold on to, for sure.
I mean, maybe religion was meant to just be a stepping stone. Because, I mean, if you come from just not believing in anything, and like, I don't even want to say being an atheist because they believe in something. Like if you're an atheist, you believe in something as an atheist, right? It may be science, but like someone who just completely lost, they don't know what, you know? It was like, I just don't know, you know?
Agnostic.
And so I feel like for them, like a religion would be like a great stepping stone because it's going to teach you about spirit, you know? It's going to teach you about the unseen to a certain extent. But who's to say you can't start out that and then branch away from that religion, but still keep your connection to the divine, you know? So you don't need religion for that. But some people can go that route, but just because if you were a part of religion and you just like, you know what, I'm done with the church, that doesn't mean that you're no longer believe in God.
You're just done with the middleman. I just want to go direct, no middleman.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's almost like a jacket in that situation. I don't need it all the time. I'll wear it as needed. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, if it's cold, I'll grab it. But once I reach that point to where it's no longer needed, I know what the jacket is used for. You know what I'm saying? I know its purpose, but I can now hang it up in the closet because it's July.
They're training wheels.
I call them casual or convenient Christians, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last time you went to church, you were 13. Now you're on your deathbed. You want your final. Yeah. Fair enough.
You know what? That's crazy because so when I made a video a while ago and I forget what I was yeah. So I made a video and so my channel, it was entitled pretty much my spiritual awakening story. I'm not gonna go into it all, but in that story, I talked about there was a point when I was still in the military when I felt like I just fucked up. And like I was feeling like so shitty. And this was like before I was I was dabbling in the religion, the spiritual stuff, but I wasn't too serious. I wasn't meditating yet. None of that. It's really before I had my awakening. And I talked about how as soon as I was in that shitty situation, I called out to God, or really whoever was listening. I remember, and as I was recording the video, I was like, it's funny how when we're all in like shitty situations, we call out to a higher force, or what they say, there's no atheists in foxholes, because it seems like when you're under that much pressure, maybe it's like, well, this is my last resort, let me call out to some higher, or maybe it's instinctively like, you know, deep down that there is something out there, you know. I mean, this probably gonna lead into other questions.
I feel like that's a perfect segue because I have something I want to say to that, but then it destroys.
All right, well, on that note, that does it for topic number 1. Unless you got last words, Jared. You got anything else to say?
No, I'm good.
Bet. Diving right into the second one. This second topic is, why are we as a species so fascinated with the concept of God or a creator, whichever term you like?
I got something to say, but I'll let either one of you go first.
Nah, you go, right? It's on your tongue.
Nah, yeah, bro. Go ahead, because you got something on your mind right now.
Yeah.
You said there's no such thing as an atheist in a foxhole, right?
Well, that's the saying, yeah.
Yeah, and actually, Desmond Doss was the guy from what was that movie, Hacksaw Ridge?
Yeah.
The medic who refused to arm up. And how funny is it that if you've seen his actual interview before he passed away, I want to say it was in the early, I think like 2013 or maybe earlier than that, there was an interview, and it was funny because what kept him sane and what kept him going was he's quoted saying, "Please God, let me just get one more, and then he kept going back for just one more, and then kind of like back in the day, we'll have one more drink, just one more, right? But then through that, he had done all of that. Now, I think we are fascinated with God, and it goes into that segue of no such thing as a atheist in a foxhole, is because we're afraid of our own mortality, and we have to think that, or it's like we as a species, I think, because we are the most evolved or advanced. I mean, I don't see any other animal species I'm aware of that can fly airplanes and make rice and almond milk and do all this other crazy shit, right? But I think we're so far kind of advanced from other species on our planet that, like, the idea that when we both die, like, you know, like, all dogs go to heaven. But do animals go to heaven really? But do they really though? Right? And so it's one of those things where we have to have something after this life, because I think the idea that once you're dead, it's over, curtain call. Like, what if atheists have it right? Let's just say atheists have it right. How many people would be like, oh my God, I could have been a shitty person. I could have been partying. I could have, you know what I'm saying? And they need something to hold on to. People need, like, you know, oh, well, so-and-so's in a better place. I mean, I'd rather my firstborn son, be here. I feel like it's much better for me that he'd be here with me and his younger brother and younger sister. I feel like I had a lot more to learn from my uncle. So I really have a hard time with that whole they're in a better place, because I really am just like, but are they though? Is that really better? Because who's up there watching my son? Like my uncle, probably, if the afterlife's real. But at the same time, like, I don't understand how that's a better place, right? So I just think we really have this, as a species, we're all terrified that once we're done, it's a curtain call, it's a wrap. The idea that could be true is why we're so fascinated with God, I think. And if it's not that, before it was God, before like the Bible and the major religions we know today in the Western world, like a lot of paganism in Norse was based off of the solstices, the winter and summer solstice, and then the seasons were based around that. Well, one of the ways that Christians got pagans to convert was basically by putting Christmas as the winter solstice. That wasn't around the time Jesus was born historically. Jesus was not born in December, when you backtrack and do the math and count for leap years or whatever. So that happened as a way to assimilate, to make it easier for pagans to conform. But pagans were fascinated with the seasons. And so it was like, because, you know, the seasons, it was, you know, that's what they were based around. And I think before it was the Bible and everything that we know today, as a species, we weren't as intelligent as we are today, but we were like, man, how do we explain this crazy ass weather? You know what? Odin been fucking up, and now the frost giants are out, and now they come and attack that ass. The frost giants are here, right? Because they couldn't understand something. So instead of I think as a species, when we don't understand something, it drives us mad. And that's even true for myself, which is why I obsessed with religion and mythology over the last 11 years. Because I want to know it all because I don't know and I don't understand. That's why I think we're fascinated.
Yeah.
It's either we can't accept the fact that this is a curtain call once our time is done. And before that, it was like, how do we explain these natural phenomenons like floods, blizzards, earthquakes? Oh my God, imagine being like a spear chucking Neanderthal, or just like, you know, even a native in California on San Andreas' fault, and then earthquakes and everything starts happening, and then fires start because of it. You're just like, bro, we pissed off the wrong God today, because there was no way to explain. Like, they wouldn't know what an earthquake is today.
Yeah.
Like, if you try to time travel back to them and you'd be like, nah, it's an earthquake, son. Basically, tectonic plates rub against each other, and then like it creates, you know, they'd be like, bro, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, that's my answer on why we're so obsessed. It's kind of a two-front answer, but it's either way.
Yeah, I kind of think it's just like being human. Like, we are obviously the smartest species on the planet, but we're also very critical thinkers. So pretty much like what Steve said, I feel as though when we don't know something, it does frustrate us. And I believe that is one of the biggest reasons why there is such debate between science and religious personnel, because science tries to explain everything, even things that really can't be explained, and religion tries to base it all in, you know what I'm saying, like a spiritual setting or a theme behind it. I feel as though, you know, as society grew over the years, thousands of years, like, we started to look at stuff differently. You know, like, we were just like, okay, a lot of this stuff we can explain, you know, like what earthquakes are, fires, hurricanes, you know, avalanches, like whatever kind of natural disasters. Like, we, over the course of time and through the introduction of sciences and mathematics, we were able to elaborate on a lot of these things. But there are some things that it's just like, us as humans, we can't put our finger on why. That at the base of everything, there is a very beautiful, perfect design to life. I mean, the fact that, you know, we're on this planet that is the perfect distance from the sun to habitate life, you know, that is covered in a substance by 70% that is needed for the human body to sustain life. You know, it's two genders on this planet to make sure that population will always be a thing, maybe even growing a little bit too much. You know, you have the tide. You just have everything. Like, everything just seems to be tailor-made to work in unison, you know, and kind of like to what Steve said, like, maybe since we couldn't explain it, we kind of like just slap a label on it, like, oh, that's God, or oh, that's an ultimate being. But maybe we even call things, which we kind of alluded to in a few videos, where we kind of alluded to where early civilization may have came in contact with aliens. Maybe aliens is what the early humans were calling gods. You know what I'm saying? With all of the depictions they have inside the pyramids and drawings and sketches of them. But I just feel as though, like what Brian said, whenever we get into a very life or death situation where one snap and it's over, people tend to cry out, "Oh my God," or "Oh God," like almost as like an instinctual yelp. It's just like we just utter it, almost like our DNA knows that there's something. It might not even be called God, you know what I'm saying? But through life and media and text, that is the word that's programmed that we associate with this source over all of us. So we call out to it. So I think ultimately, why we're so intrigued in the concept of God is because of critical thinking and just it's almost like an inherent knowing that we just can't put our finger on.
Okay. I
Yeah,
like that.
I agree too. Now this is a book that I haven't read, so it is on my list of must reads. It's
Then don't speak on it.
I'm not. It's the title. It's a Man Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and I feel like that's a big part. Man just has always searched for meaning in life, and because let's say back in the day where we had great philosophers at the time, right? When they probably didn't have a job, their job was pretty much to be a philosopher. And they would just sit around and just think about the universe, think about the questions nobody else is thinking about. And if that was the case, I believe that they began to ponder, like, how did we get here on Earth? Like, what is the human race? They might come up with some ideas. Well, who created the first people to mate, and then they made it? You know what I'm saying? It's almost like the chicken and the egg type of deal. And then I was thinking outside of that, like, what created this thing that we're on, right? This earth, you know? What created this to, like Jared said, sustain life, like have everything you need necessary to sustain life? What's outside of this, you know? And so I believe that it's almost like, who knows, like maybe before they had great philosophers, maybe there was no talk of a God like that out there beyond the skies. Maybe there was, I'm not sure.
I mean, there was also a lot of mass book burnings throughout history, like libraries in China during their first dynasty, the book burnings in Alexandria. We lost so much knowledge in all of those.
I'm saying even before those books, you know, were publicized or written.
Those books back then were what we thought the answers were. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah,
written on stone tablets. And then I also feel like, so the people here today in this current moment, this current reality that we live in, who are spiritually inclined, who can tap into the other side, you know, they can see spirits, they can hear spirits, they can communicate with spirits or extraterrestrials, you know. We all can, to a certain degree. Very young, we all still have that ability because we're so close. How's the connection, real quick?
You lagged for like a split second at worst.
You the last thing I said?
Yeah.
What did I say? So I know where to start.
I mean, like you only lag for half a second.
Okay.
Like, you wouldn't even know that. Yeah.
There's people who, like, we can all tap into that as well. It's much easier when we're younger. That's why children, you might see them just playing off in the corner, talking to somebody. It's probably an entity. Don't fear, because then that's going to make the child fear. But they have that ability, and I feel like that's innate within all of us. But if you look back further, before we had all these distractions, all this 9-to-5 of slavery we got going on, all of actual slavery, all of the technology, like, before that was introduced and very little distractions, maybe those philosophers of the time were tapped into it, spirit, right? If they just sat there and pretty much just traveled throughout their mind, maybe they came in contact with some beings that passed on before. Maybe they saw their uncle, you know, maybe they saw their grandparent and they were talking to them, you know. These ancient tribes going on vision quests and stuff. What are they saying on these vision quests? Besides talking to like totem animals and spirit animals, I'm pretty sure they were talking to like tribe elders who were before them. And if they have that, if they're talking to them, then they can come up with the analysis that thing beyond this physical. So once you die, that's not it. So if they're existing outside the physical, there must be something else greater that's existing outside the physical that created us. And so all that, what I just said, I feel like that's why we as a species pretty much fascinated with the concept of a God or a creator.
I know for myself, my biggest thing, we kind of touched on it in one of the earlier questions. Reading different religions is it's kind of a hobby, and it's a fucking weird one because I'm a fucking weird guy. But I have taken bits and pieces from almost every bit of religion and things that I do like. Like there's pieces from the Bhagavad Gita that I really liked. There was pieces from the Bardar Toll or the Tibetan Book of the Dead that I really like. Um, there's a lot of Buddhist, right? I'm a Buddhist, so there's a lot of Buddhism stuff that I really like. But the stuff between Buddhism and how Jesus acted is very, very, I mean, like tomato to me. So I've always been fascinated with it because I've always kind of been just interested in, well, this is what I grew up knowing, and it was force-fed to me was the Catholic Church. What else is out there? And then hence, learning about the Quran, learning about the Torah and other things. And I obsessed with it too, especially in our line of work. I mean, they had me at the gates working with all the host nation military police or the TCNs. Because they liked me, man. And even, the Prasad and everything in Arabic, all of that. And then my name tape was also in Arabic. It was kind of one of those things where it's like, bro, you think this is an Arabic name? Like I'm Mexican, bro. I mean, but it really was, I was able to have fun. Like I was one of the few people I knew who liked being posted with Middle Eastern troops. Because I would just kind of like pick their brains a little bit. We'd go back and forth. And that's actually how I learned that Mexican candy and Middle Eastern candy has a lot in common. They're both heavily influenced by the tamarind plant. Just different, style or whatever. But it was one of those things where I was trading them Mexican candy for their candy. And it was a way to break down barriers. And it's like, we're not so different, bro. Like you like cars, I like guns. Oh, we like women too. Oh, you like drinking too? Oh man, like. And then it's kind of I stepped back and I was like kind of embarrassed. I was like, you're kind of an asshole for thinking that they are so much different from you.
Nope.
Right. And so I kind of felt like another reason I really love world religion and mythology was because you could understand almost everyone. Or if you can't, it's a way to build rapport. Right. Because it's like you respect me enough to learn about, like it happened here in San Antonio, I want to say about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. I knew the man was a Sikh because of his, turban and his bracelets. And, he came up and he just wanted to pretty much bless AJ. Right. And I feel like a lot of Americans, they'd see this dude with a turban and a big beard and his silver bracelets and, because he's a Sikh. And a lot of people be like, oh, and even my ex-wife was kind of like, this was at either Sam's Clubs or Costco, one of the two. But even she was kind of like, no. I was like, no, it's cool. Like he's good people. Trust me, he's good people. And the dude just wanted to bless my son and say hi and say we have, beautiful family, whatever. So it was like, thank God I didn't freak the fuck out on this guy for no reason. But I only knew not to freak out because I knew he was a Sikh and he just wanted to bless and say hi. That was it. So I always kind of saw it as, I don't want to call it a weapon, but a tool. We're learning different religions. Like when both times I was deployed was during Ramadan. And they had me work in those gates because I would request it. Another reason I request it because no one else wanted it. And then nobody really fucks with you. So I'd get left alone by everyone else in the unit. And by doing that, like during Ramadan, the end of my first deployment, they would have me, like I was eating with them before sunup. Before they could get their last meal, they would invite me to eat with them. And I'm not Muslim. I've never been Muslim. Even this past summer, my kids were with my ex-in-laws, and they're very religious. They're Jehovah's Witness. Before we had dinner or whatever it was, they were like, we're going to pray. Of course, I held hands with everyone and bowed my head. I don't believe in it, but that's their house and their belief, and who am I to just be a douchebag?
Mm-hmm.
So that's about another reason I think religion is so important, or why we're so obsessed with it. If you can use it as a tool to unite instead of divide, I think that's huge. And so that was another big reason I got into it and my experiences with it. A lot of the times it's built some sort of rapport, man. There's some cool rapport. And even when I had the long hair and the big beard, there was a chick in my U.S. history class a year or two ago, U.S. history 1, from India, and she thought I was a Sikh. So it's just one of those things, because I saw her bracelets and I was like, you're a Sikh? She's like, well, why don't you have yours? I'm like, oh, no. I'm just a fat Mexican dude with long hair and a big beard. Like, I'm telling you about Thor. I'm not a Sikh.
I lost it.
I think that's another reason. That's why I obsessed. Because I was like, if I can't understand it, because initially I sought out for who's right. I don't think the Catholics are right. Maybe Jewish are right. Maybe the Quran is correct. Maybe the Bhagavad Gita. Maybe, Buddha. And so it was really one of those things where I started it for one purpose, and then it totally transformed into something that it is today.
Gotcha.
No, I know it's kind of long-winded, but that was something I thought that was important to tack on there for the positive side of obsessing with the weird shit because you're a weird dude.
It's all good. It makes sense. So I was thinking so instead of thinking about why we as a species are so fascinated, I just thought about why am I so fascinated with the concept? And me personally, because when I look at the way this world is ran, on a collective type of level, I think to myself, there's no way that we just are born to die, but in between that time to work and pay bills, to attain material possessions. I'm like, there's just no way. And so with that thinking, I'm like, well, I think what is this about then, right? And why are we here? Then I start thinking, and I normally go by what resonates with me. And when something resonates with me, it's like, let's say if I meet someone and I just automatically, I feel like I can trust this person. I don't know him at all, but I feel like I can trust him. So when I come across knowledge or information that resonates, I look at that as I have this innate, sixth sense, you want to call it, or just this knowingness that really is just a spiritual recognition that this is truth. Because when everybody feels truth, you will know it. You will know truth from lies for the most part, unless they're just a manipulative person, right? But if you're in tune, most of the time you can disseminate truth from falsehood. So just thinking about what is this life about, I stumbled across these spiritual teachings. I was like, that shit makes sense, right? It makes sense. There is something greater that created all of us, and we're still connected to it because all these religions say we are, right? If we're children of this thing, then they all didn't get it wrong, There's some wrong things in between all of the religions, but they all didn't get it wrong. And I'm not a historian like Steve is. I like to think that they all, in some form or fashion, say that we come from that thing. Am I right in that assumption, Steve?
Yeah, because what I think is funny about any religion, and if you're a subscriber or a fan, and you please call me out, but the one thing I saw is the golden rule is universal. It's something along the lines of either treat others how you want to be treated, or karma. What goes around comes around. Mm. So to me, that's one and the same. Treat others how you want to be treated. You want to treat people like they're pieces of shit, people are going to treat you the same way back. Which to me is karma. What you put in is what you get back from this universe. Mm. It's an investment. Yeah. You make good investments or bad investments. So that's kind of funny that you brought that up because the golden rule is the same in all religions. And there's a consequence, right? Christians, you go to hell. Buddhism, you're going to be reincarnated into a shittier life, or it's going to be harder to reach nirvana because you fucked around and found out.
But all of them say that creator created us, in each different one. They all have a creator that created us. I'm making assumptions right now.
And some form of the creator's self-image to an extent, mm-hmm. Yes.
So with that, I just think look, there has to be something greater. And then you get what's it called? The universal law, or the law of hermeticism, is as above, so below, which means what we see here, there's going to be something on a greater, more macro cosmic scale that exists above us. So Then we may not be the creator. We may, let's say, on a higher scale, like we're down here on a macrocosm or microcosm, it's us humans. Below us, microcosm, let's say you got little critters. But macrocosm, us, who knows? It may be a angelic being or a being on another galaxy. Who knows? But I believe that there is something greater than that too. But yeah, that's why I'm fascinated with it.
I think it'd be hilarious if we were just some like aliens ant farm in like a fucked up way, right? Or like the end of Men in Black, where it's like our planet is just a marble,
thinking that.
and the aliens are just shooting marbles or playing like,
Or this is
But honestly, I feel as though that's how it is, man. It goes back to what we talked about last week. Like, we'll be idiotic and so stupidly selfish to think that we are the only ones in this entire universe, not galaxy, not solar system, universe. Like, that's why it baffles my mind when, you see like on the news or article like, oh, UFO sighting, or the government has aliens, and people laugh. Like, you really think that is fake stuff? Like, how small does your brain have to be to really think? Like, did Hollywood really program you that much through Independence Day and all the other various sci-fi movies and think that this stuff is just incomprehensible?
Well,
Like, anything you see in a movie was a concept of a real life situation.
yeah.
Like, how much stuff, when you go back, I didn't really watch it, but I remember as a kid, my dad used to watch Star Trek a lot. And he watched all of them. And in Star Trek, they had technology in that show that is now shit that we have now. Exactly.
Or the tablets.
Everything, the tablets, the watches, like the kind of mobile phones, like they have so much technology in that show that was in the mid to early 90s that is now prevalent today. And like, so for somebody to sit here and think that, oh yeah, we're by ourselves, and if anybody say anything about UFO, haha, you're dumb, and laugh at you. Like, no, like, you should be the one getting laughed at to even think that in this universe, that us compared to it, we literally are like a single grain of sand on the beach.
Literally. Or a drop of water.
A drop of water in the Pacific. Like, it's that big. Like, yo, like, come on, man.
So
yeah.
When you said you said the two things I gotta address because they're funny. So I had read something recently on Facebook within the last couple of weeks, and it was something along the lines of believing that aliens don't exist because of how small and how little we've really explored space is equivalent to getting a bucket, scooping water out the ocean and saying, well, there's no sharks in the ocean because there are no sharks in my bucket.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah, that's not me. I'm not claiming that. That was something I read on the internet. All right.
I did see that before though. Yeah, I saw that. I don't remember where I saw that, but I did see that like analogy, and I'm like, that's a picture perfect representation.
Yeah. And then the second thing, so you were talking about Star Trek. Look at when Roswell, New Mexico happened, and then after that, Hollywood's fascination with aliens never died down. And over 4 to 6 decades, like, we would be so desensitized, like violence. Remember, up and coming, nobody could play Grand Theft Auto because it'd make you into the next Columbine killer, right? Come to find out, great stress reliever, XYZ, blah, 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 blah. But the TV shows and what we see now on The Walking Dead and just Hollywood in general, 20 years ago, that was like, this is too much. But now it's like, I actually realized it not too long ago, watching, I think it was Lord of the Rings with my kids. And it was one of those things where we had it on and like, we weren't all sitting there, but we were kind of like, in between snacks on the couch, and because I have toddlers for the fans that don't know. So it's one of those things where like, you're not really watching it. But then it was during, I want to say it was the Battle of Helm's Deep, and they kicked the ladder down from the wall. And, a bunch of people died when that thing happened. And my son was like, and like, it was like the most, he did his Joaquin Phoenix Joker laugh, right?
Oh, damn. That's creepy.
I was like, ooh, okay, I could see how you would think it's funny, because then he goes, oh, it's silly, and I'm like, okay, maybe no more doing this, because like, nah, that's a bit much, right? And that desensitization, being desensitized, I mean, yeah, man, look at Roswell, look it up, dude. You're the Hollywood buff, but you could take my history of Roswell, New Mexico, and then put the timeline of movies where space, aliens, and everything, and then it never really
I had watched a documentary that did allude to that. Like they brought that up. There was like the Roswell incident. Once that occurred, UFO and alien mania took off. Like not just in Hollywood, but like memorabilia, everything. You know, like it just shot off, and it peaked it was peaked like kind of led by Steven Spielberg. You know, he's over here making Close Encounters, and then he followed up with E.T., and then you know you got Ridley Scott over here giving us Aliens 2. You know, it was just, and it's like Hollywood, they condition you for stuff because you have to be conditioned. If they introduce you to something that you aren't ready for, that could be devastating to society.
Oh yeah.
Media is a devil, but it is a necessary evil. Like if they just threw people through the sharks without showing them pictures of a million sharks first, like it will have reverberating effects. That's like it will have it will have repercussions that we wouldn't even understand. You know what I'm saying?
Dramatic.
Yeah, it's like, and we talked about that again on a previous video. We talked about if aliens were to show themselves, you will see millions of people shell shocked because it will rock them to the very core. Like this goes against everything I was ever taught. It goes against my deepest beliefs. Like it sounds like such almost, well, for lack of better terms, like a small minor thing if that was to happen, but it would be devastating to a large portion of this world. Well, not the country, the world.
Yeah,
bro, that's it right there too. Like as you're saying that, I was debating on if I wanted to even just talk about this stuff, but the reason why this podcast works is because we are free thinkers. And those people who would not believe in like extraterrestrials are the same people who are just so closed-minded who are to think that MK Ultra is not a real thing. Like they're not programming through us through repetition and the shit that's on TV. Like the same people who feel like 9/11 was just completely a terrorist attack, right? It wasn't. Like look into it. I'm telling you. And there's so much other shit. Like they're the same people that, oh, meat doesn't cause cancer. Man, whatever. It's just so much shit. Fluoride in the toothpaste is not good for the enamel, right? It fucks you up, actually. And there's just so much shit that's just going on that people are just like, no, there's no way. There's no way. So when I hear people be like, because when I was in Kuwait doing orientation, whatever, we was in there and somebody was like, they said something about extraterrestrials. I was like, oh, you believe that shit? I was like, oh, me too. And this one dude, you know, he could tell he's like left brain hellological person. He's like, oh, I knew the extraterrestrial. I knew the aliens talk was going to come. Here we go. I'm like, bro, you's a dick.
Mm-hmm.
Like
you don't got to get this
so
conversation,
close,
bro. You're happy out the way.
So close.
Yeah. I have very, very few pet peeves, but the number one pet peeve I tell everybody is I cannot talk to anybody that's closed-minded. The second you show me a semblance of it, I'm done. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just like Steve said, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to try to change your mind. I'm just going to gracefully bow out that conversation and all right.
Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, you entertain a clown, you become part of the circus. And that's what's going to happen. You're not going to persuade them, even if you show them facts. Nah. CGI. You can't believe everything you hear on the internet. These are the same people who will listen to the coronavirus shit they hear on the internet. I'm like, bro, get the fuck out of here, dude.
They're the same assholes that share stuff on social media, and they're like, I knew it, da-da-da. Mm-hmm. Bro, if you had read the fucking article, you would know this is satire. It's not real. You're just a dumbass who sees a headline, and it agrees with your personal life agenda, so you hit share, you didn't even realize it actually is the total opposite of what you believe in.
You know what? This kind of segues into the next topic. Y'all got anything else on this one?
Nah, man, go ahead.
All right.
And we're full
Topic 3. What do you think is the root of all evil? I feel like it segues into this because part of the root of all evil, or what helps the people who are evil, is because people are so naive. They're so closed-minded and they believe everything that they're taught. And that empowers the people who are evil. That empowers the evil, the evilness amongst this fucking planet. Like, without free thinkers, without people who question, motherfuckers do anything to you. And that's exactly what's going on right now. And that's why the evil in this world is so that's been running the world for so long.
Yeah.
And that's why they haven't been stopped yet. Real talk. But to answer the question, though, what do I think is the root of all evil? I believe it is sacred knowledge being abused. And what I mean by that is evil in this world. I'm looking at like as a collective, like the people who do truly evil shit, like people who are trafficking children, people who are killing kids, people who are just any type of, I call them spiritual crimes. Any people who are pretty much involved in that shit. I feel like it comes from sacred knowledge being abused, because these people who are in power, who run this world, like you can say the bankers or whatever, it really goes above them as well. But these people, they have a sacred knowledge because their ancestors stole the powerful information from these places that they colonized. They pretty much took over. They took the powerful information, gave them some bullshit, right? And they stored it away. Where they stored it? I don't know. Some say the Vatican. I don't know where it's at. Where?
It's actually the catacombs below the Vatican is where supposedly Jesus' adolescence years were. Because, you know, he's a teen, and then this nigga is 29, and then he's 33 and crucified. Like, there was no story arc. Where's his character development? Because it's a book, right? With a plot. So in theory, you need a character arc and development. You can't just, cutscene. Don't worry about what happened. Just know that he's a grown man now, and some bad shit's about to happen. What do you know? He's dead.
33, that's probably why they got 33 degrees of masonry, right? Maybe that's the top one.
Yeah. But
so they have all this sacred knowledge, just this powerful information, right? Let's just say, hypothetically speaking here, let's say they have the ability to contact certain extraterrestrial, certain beings or whatever. They have the information to enslave a person, like Jim Crow, right? He wrote down a system to how to enslave specifically the black man and woman. But let's say these people in power had the information to enslave a whole nation. So with this sacred information, right? Because it's not evil in the beginning. It is what it is, just information. It's just like a gun, fire, whatever you want to call it. If it's abused, then yes, it can be dangerous. But they have this information and they essentially use it to control the masses, to push their agenda, right? They have so much money, they can own the world. Hey, there you go. The Roman Guide to Slave Management.
And this is messed up. I did not enjoy reading that.
Oh, I bet. And so, yeah, that's why I feel like the root of all evil is. It's abuse sacred knowledge, as well as ignorance, because you got those small-minded, non-critical
money.
What you say?
Money.
Money? You think money is?
Money is, to me, if not the biggest root of all evil, it's definitely top 3.
Is it the money, or is it the pursuit of, or the lack of money? Or is it just money?
Money
in general.
Let me think. Hold on. Give me a second on how I want to word that. Okay. I forgot which MCU movie it was, but Vision said it himself. I'm gonna paraphrase it. He said, because we are so strong and powerful, our being alone invites competition for people to come see us. So money by itself invites the love of money, the greed of money, the very aspect of money itself is the center of the Milky Way galaxy of evil.
So is it money or is it greed?
Money is the main ingredient of greed.
Gotcha.
I mean, you can't have greed without the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, something has to be that thing that you crave and need. You know, whether it is the consistent wars that we have on this planet. We can sit here and say whatever we want. Oh, it's because of this, because of that. But you shift through the weeds. Money is the root of all of them. You know, I mean, people throughout history, companies throughout history have done some really effed up stuff for money.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, this freaking green piece of material with dead presidents on it can make a person act completely out of character. Friends have killed each other over. Family members have killed each other. Backstabbing have happened all over this piece of half denim material that is just, it brings the worst out of people. You know what I'm saying? It's just, exactly. That thing alone, man, has killed more people than damn near anything. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, and I've had situations where I kind of like daydreamed about this. Like, what if money was never invented? You know what I'm saying? Like, if the concept of payment was never introduced to humanity, where would society be?
So you mean just like bartering or just sharing?
But if you think about it, if money was never ever introduced, we would pretty much still be bartering. We'll be bartering, sharing. There will be no greed. It'll be like, what's mine is yours is mine. It'll be like, and it's hard to really think of. It's a hard question to ponder because money is that much ingrained in us.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, no matter how hard you try to remove that aspect so you can have an unbiased, hypothetical daydream about it, I mean, it's so ingrained into us. You like we're gonna be like, oh, like, you're gonna rebuttal, like, well, why would anybody do anything if they're not gonna be paid? But if money was never introduced, they're not looking to be paid. If I help Stevens harvest his corn crop, I'm not looking to be paid because I know Stevens is gonna help me, you know what I'm saying, harvest my oranges or my pears, you know. But then this money came out and we gave it the ability to purchase things. And over the course of time, that purchase power dropped, purchases became power. And it just started, manifesting itself. Now, like, nowadays, you look at society and you see, like, just last week, we got our first ever $200 billion man in freaking Jeff Bezos. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I was younger, when I was in elementary school, the richest person in the world was like, he always fluctuated between Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, and their net worth was always like $35-40 billion. Now you got a man over here with 200 billion. He's richer than like 95% of the countries in the world.
Bro, I want to say he makes a couple 100,000 either a second or a minute or an hour.
I was watching a video on it early. Like, he makes like almost $10,000 a second. So to even fathom that is like, it's incomprehensible. And it's like, when you have the 1% elite hoarding this commodity that was created, like, money is just the root of all evil. You know what I'm saying? Like that, it's just what it is. People who have a lot of it would do anything to keep it, and people who do not have it would do anything to obtain it.
Yeah, I mean, because with that, he can have anything he wants except for peace. Or
Exactly. The only thing that he
relationship.
can't get is self-happiness. But the fact of the matter is, he doesn't can't even be in his vocabulary. With that amount of wealth,
yeah,
like it's hard to even fathom that kind of money.
it really is.
Like he has his wealth alone could alter the world's finances if he didn't operate correctly. You know what I'm saying? He could end world hunger. He can give everybody in America a stimulus check for X amount of dollars and still have money left over. Like, that's crazy. But it goes back to what I just said. People who have it would do anything to keep it, and people who do not have it would do anything to obtain it. Both sides have shown very murderous and violent temperaments on both sides of that wheel. Whether it's somebody robbing somebody or, you know, like you brought it up, 9/11. You know, like both of them, at the core of it, money is involved. And if it's not money, it's an asset tied to money, oil.
Or control.
So it's like, you know, so it's just like, to me, that is the root of all evil, because to me, that brings out the nastiest and the darkest parts of human nature.
Yeah. I think, so I had an answer, but it doesn't mean shit now because Jared took me in a different direction. So then I have a new answer.
Wait, what was the first one? What was the first one?
It was kind of...
It was like women.
Actually, the lust.
Oh.
I was going to say lust. Lust for knowledge, lust for money, lust for women. But all three can be obtained through power. Now, is that power based off of you controlling ancient knowledge and manipulating the world to your effect? Kind of the conversation we had earlier, where an individual and I had a conversation, and it may very well be that neither of us remember it. But then I can tell this individual, hey, remember when you said this? And then I could kind of make my new reality based off of that lack of knowledge between the both of us. That's how you would manipulate that, right? And that's how... I'm not going to do that. I don't do that, but it's there. And that's what we talked about before we started recording. And so now I have a new answer. And my new answer is, if you haven't watched the movie Book of Eli, go fucking watch it, because you've already missed out on one episode where you don't get it, and now you're going to miss out on my answer. So if society is still standing strong like it is today, then the root of all evil is money. It is. Because through money, you'll never quench your lust because it's unquenchable. It's an addict thing, right? Where it's like, oh, one more time, and then it's like, oh my God. So if society's standing, it's money, because money can do anything. And if you can't do it, it'll make other people do it for you.
Yeah, they say everybody has a price.
Right. Money can get you just about anything. Now, if society crumbles, what happened in the Book of Eli? Knowledge was power. Because society had already been dead for several decades. I want to say 20 or 30 years, I think. So you had a bunch of young, dumb idiots full of testosterone. Gary Oldman's crew that would go out and scavenge. They couldn't fucking read. But all they knew was go get books. And they literally killed someone and then raped her and then killed her over a satchel of books that didn't mean anything. Now, they were still rewarded via a bartering system. So I really think if society went, bartering would then become a thing. And Jared was right. You know, I'm not going to charge Jared, and Jared's not going to charge me. But damn, if I need some oranges, I'm going to go help Jared. And Jared will be goddamned, he doesn't have his corn. He'll come get it from me. Right? And that was something that I was used to as a kid growing up. And then I became, you know, as an adult in South Dakota, You know, hey, I'll help you butcher this meat and whatever. To save you time and money and effort, you'll throw me a little bit of it, and I'll include some fish. Because how I was always fishing and I always have fish on deck in South Dakota, you know. So bartering took over, but ultimately it's either money or knowledge. And with that, I feel like it's yin and yang, because money can buy you more knowledge, and if you don't have money, like for the most part, us three are not very well. But we use our knowledge to obtain more money to reach that next step.
Yeah, I mean, because
I think it's money right now is the root of all evil. But you definitely could say, well, knowledge can obtain money, and from there it goes back and forth. So Jared threw me off and kind of messed up my answer to an extent, but I'm glad it actually, I've made this reference before, man. I'm holding that knife and I'm saying balanced as all things should be, because I really think with that example of Book of Eli.
remix.
I mean, yeah, right. Prove us wrong. I really want, and I'm not even trying to be a dick, make an argument that we can't back down from based off of that, because I don't see it any other way.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Knowledge will get you killed, Jeffrey Epstein, because of the money you obtained with that knowledge.
Yeah.
Or your money will try to buy you some knowledge that's going to get you killed. Because, like Brian had said, this knowledge is only for select few.
Yeah.
So,
and it's to the point where I kind of feel as though when you said that knowledge can get you money, which I do agree with, but I feel as though that's only true to a certain extent, because it kind of goes back to the mindset of a lot of people. One person in particular, Elon Musk, even said it recently. He doesn't believe like in the school system. It is a mandated curriculum that they teach you what they want to teach you without focusing on things that you really should be taught. School systems, for the most part, don't teach you to be a free thinker. No. They teach you exactly what's in these notebooks. If you think about it, a lot of times our favorite teachers back in the day really lended to an environment of critical, open thinking. Like, it's not, we're going to go off of page 35, guys. And, you know, it wasn't this mundane stuff. So I feel as though knowledge can get you money to a degree. Though I think the uber rich people, like the 1%ers, are people who realized that the curriculum is a handicap, and they thought outside of the box. So, you know, they went a different route. They went against the grain. They did that thing that most people say, you should never do this because of, well, you know, screw it, I'm going to try it. You know, and it just happened to pan out for them. Knowledge is power, because pretty much like how you said, like with the whole Jeffrey Epstein and the knowledge that he knew. And if that knowledge would have got out, people knew and they took care of that solution. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got him up out of there. Yeah. But I feel as though, like, I never really thought about knowledge being a root of all evil, but it is true though. And I think it says a lot that the U.S. curriculum is so mandated. Like, it wants all, like, it's like a factory. We want to teach people this and nothing else. Like, the same stuff our kids are going to be learning in school is the same thing that we learned in school. The same people in history, the same events in history. Math might be taught a little differently, but it's still the same stuff. But it's just like everything, like, it's structured. Like, I don't want you to get out of this realm. I think that's why so many people say some of the most feared people are people who read.
Yeah.
Because you're giving yourself access to knowledge that is not on somebody else's schedule. You know, like, you're teaching yourself, you're opening your own eyes, you're giving your own self a different way to think and process stuff. So,
bro, school is ran like prisons.
Yeah.
The structure of it and everything.
Yes.
They're not creating thinkers, like you said. They're creating workers. That's it. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I heard that the first school curriculum that they still use, pretty much structured, it was first created. It was like the what's it called? Agricultural days, I guess you can say, when they were trying to create farmers, give you just enough information so you can like be an adult. But essentially, we're gonna give you just enough so you can run a farm, and nothing has changed. Not much has changed.
So I'm gonna, yeah. So there's a lot of things I want to say after that now. So degrees don't mean diddly shit today. They don't. I have one associate's. I switched majors for my second, and now I'm ready to drop out. And another reason I'm ready to drop out is free thinkers like myself. You're a target. You know, I was in campus at the beginning of this, or I was in campus. I was enrolled in college at the beginning of calendar year 2020, and yeah, I definitely had a target on my back because you know a professor or teacher would say something, and I'm just kind of like, oh well. And you know me, I wear my emotions on my face, so when someone says some dumb shit, I'm like, and you know, oh, so you disagree, or you know, it's like, yeah, and here's why. And some of the times, like I had one teacher telling me that the tattoo on my arm that I have of Quetzalcoatl was the symbol on the Mexican flag. False. And then I had to educate this broad in front of the whole fucking class within the first week. Happened in also U.S. history too. And this is a pattern where it's like, you know, U.S. history too. I was older than that professor, but he's a fucking cool guy, and he follows the trends, and you can see him trying to be hard to relate because he's a fucking loser. And there was things he would say, and he's like, well, you know, da da da, and then it became to the point because we were talking Jim Crow, where he kind of was hinting at for me to take a back seat to this shit because I'm not black. And it was like, oh, we really want to go there. So then I had to basically educate him about the Treaty of Hidalgo and how Mexicans were deported, even up Mexican Americans, so actually American citizens who never even been to Mexico, second, third generation, during the Great Depression were deported to make rooms for whites. It's not, I don't care about race. I'm just saying it's a historical fact. They're like, get these motherfuckers out of here. We need to make jobs for white people. Because during the Great Depression, Jim Crow was very much on and popping as long as the Klan was at the heights pre-Great Depression.
Damn near legal.
Oh, yeah, of course, because those fucking assholes were judges. They were, you know,
police officers.
Yeah, teachers. Oh, yeah, everyone. Yeah. So free thinkers are definitely targets. And the way I feel as a free thinker is, you know, it's a pack of arrows. And you can't break a whole quiver of arrows. But if you take one arrow out, you can snap that motherfucker real easy. And that's what happens to free thinkers on campus like myself. Now, most people kind of back out. I'm one of the assholes where it's like, oh, word? Okay.
If you think about it, being a free thinker, that's already a rebellious act in and of itself. Because you're not going with the grain, because you're not thinking the way other people's are. You're like, no, I'm not thinking that way. So you form your own opinions. And by that, you're rebellion. But,
to the status quo, yeah. Or to the norm, for sure. And then we talked about that knowledge. And here's a pattern that I noticed. So what's her name? Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's girlfriend, right? She'd been locked up, and it was a big deal. And it's like, oh, she might have COVID, and then we never heard from her again, really, right? The media kind of shut up about it. But one thing I'm seeing circulate and very trendy is how many kids are being rescued out of fucking nowhere.
right?
Yeah, Georgia and all that. Yeah.
All different states. I'm a little bit, I grew up around people who were not very friendly with Johnny Law, okay? I smell a fucking rat. I don't think it's a coincidence that they snagged this broad up and then like they hushed about it, like, oh, she might have COVID, and then they left us with that cliffhanger. And then now within the last, 2 weeks, I think, maybe if that, we've seen all these trendy things about, you know, these kids saved here, all different states.
Yeah.
Republican, Democrat, 50-50, swing states, it does not matter.
Did you hear about?
I don't believe in coincidence when it comes to that, man. There's that. I smell a rat, bro.
You hear about them finding a I think it's like a 18-wheeler or some shit, packed with children that were trafficking, and it didn't even make major news.
I know when I first moved to San Antonio, that was one of the big things, but then it was covered up by Hurricane Harvey. They found like, I want to say 20 or 30 people. So this would have been August of 2017-ish in San Antonio. There was a Walmart trailer left in a parking lot. Turns out there was a bunch of people in it, man.
Shit's fucked. But, bro, that is why I say knowledge. Because even though you two said money, without the programming of money being everything, I don't think it would be as detrimental as it is. Because, especially say like whatever generation is below us, right? My nephew's generation or one above, who knows? So let's just like their program. You see like music videos, like if you listen to hip hop, just like if you watch TV, you see all these people with these fast cars, Ferrari this, Lamborghini this, big house this. This dude got all this money. Look at all these women he got. So the guys are like, oh shit. And then it's just like, it's just pushed. You know what I'm saying? It's programmed into you. So then you think, well, if I ain't got money, I'm not shit. So what do I need to do to make money? And they would do anything. They would go through drastic fucking measures. And it's because the people at the top with that knowledge, they systematically do it. They program it that way. They set it up that way. But yeah, just like you said, like, yeah, knowledge will get you money because they said if you take all the richest people and divide it to the poorest people, the money will be eventually back at the rich because the people with the knowledge don't teach the ones without knowledge how to manage money, what to do with the money, how to save money, none of that shit. They say get a bank account, put in your savings. It'll grow in interest 1% every, year? What the fuck is that?
Fucking pennies on the dollar.
Exactly. They don't teach them about the real, how to actually make money. And like I said, in the school system, not teaching you about taxes, entrepreneurship, none of that shit. They teaching you like, you know what? Be a worker, get that W-2, and at the end of the year, you will get a tax return, which is your money that they already took out.
But we'll give you just a little bit of what.
Yeah, it's just because they have that information and they know what they're doing. It's so systematic.
So you talked about entrepreneurship. It was kind of funny. I didn't realize it until 2018. I was like, dude, I've been an entrepreneur my whole fucking life. Whether it was at church school, getting that Mexican candy and then flipping it, because I get it for free basically, but I knew how much it was in Mexico or on the border versus like, at a church school where that shit is not going to be sold anywhere. Yeah. But, I get these big things that I'd be like, hey, just run me, this for that. But if you buy more, it'll be a little bit cheaper. And it's like, oh, I'm getting a deal. No, the fuck you're not. I jacked the price up anyway. You just don't know that. Now, granted, 6-year-old me didn't talk like that, but in my own head, I like, how old is the 6-year-old? And then it became American Bulldogs in high school and I started in junior high. By the time I had my first litter of puppies, I was in high school. And that was how I had money in high school to kind of just do whatever I wanted. And, without having a job. Because basically my parents were like, yeah, we'll allow you to do cool things. We'll give you a little money here and there, but you better stay in line.
Bruh.
Like grades. And it's like they're rewarding me to obey the system, which is fine. But they're like, you know what? Fuck that. You said you'll give me 50 or whatever it was, $50 if I get a 4.0. I could make $50 doing a lot, bro. Like, no.
Bro.
And then, it's very, that's just kind of how it is, man. And I didn't realize that about myself and kind of the conversation we had earlier before the recording where I was like, yeah, if we invest this much in this and potentially that, it could save us this. Like, people don't think like that. Most don't.
Bro.
The school didn't teach me. I learned flipping from Oceanside, California. I didn't learn flipping from no damn college. I didn't learn flipping from the Air Force. I didn't learn flipping from the CCAF I got from the Air Force, the associate's degree. I didn't learn it from the school I'm going to now in San Antonio.
A business degree doesn't teach you how to run a business.
No.
It teaches you to get hired by a business.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And the system, and we've even said it and alluded to it, the system, which is the same as some of those dumbass NCOs we had, oh, don't get out because you could. And it's like, bro, you're worried about something that might not even be real. but it could also be way better. And you know, the system kind of teaches you, well, don't try to be an entrepreneur. Don't try to follow your dreams, because if you fail, you might fail hard. Fuck that. I don't want to just be a slave for 40 years and then, you know what's kind of funny? Most people die after retiring. I think a couple of years ago, I saw something said the average law enforcement officer dies within like 5 to 10 years of retiring. Or it's not that the average. It's very common for people who do long careers. As soon as they retire, they lose their sense of purpose because they love being a slave, basically.
That's
And
not
then they'll
surprising.
die.
I mean, that's physical death. They say the average person die at 40, but don't get buried till they're like 70. So,
yeah. And that's why you see some older people in their 60s and 70s still working. Like, not because they really need the money, but just something to give them a purpose. You know what I'm saying?
That's my pops. I love my dad. But this motherfucker's gonna live to be 136 years old probably and still have a damn job. Bro, retire. You fucking deserve it. Well, you know, it's not a bad deal what I'm doing. You know, but being a bus driver is not bad. He's a bus driver for school kids. But it's like, but you don't need to like. But then also now, you know, he's ready to make they're making investments. Now there's, you know, whispers of bigger things for them and potentially myself if I want to buy in. So it's one of those things where it's like,
nice.
I see it, but at the same time, I'm like, damn, okay. I mean, hey, man, and honestly, fuck it. If it's making my pops happy and whatever, and he's cool with it, I mean, yeah. But I'm like, damn, bro, don't you just kind of want to sit down and drink all day, or like chill, or do just like, well, today I want to wake up and do diddly shit. Then do diddly shit, bro. You fucking put in your time. You raised a fuck ton of kids, and majority of them were not yours. And like, maybe chill. Just, I mean, throwing it out there.
Yeah.
But he can't.
But that shit only sound fun for about a week.
Yeah.
How you think about it?
I haven't had a
good
job
5 or
since I
6
got retired.
days.
I haven't had a job since I got retired. Now I'm about to go into one so I can progress in life, but
Well, maybe that's because you're working on doing other stuff. Like every time I would take leave, after about a week, I'm like, bro, I need something to do. Like, I need to go back to work. And it's because I feel like the programming, like every day you're used to doing this thing. Repetition. Now you multiply that by 40 years for some people, or 20 years if it's the military, 20 plus. It's like, now what? It's like you're used to going at a certain like speed limit, and then you just come to a zero. You're like, fuck, now what? Well, and then stress, that'll kill you quicker than any physical shit will. A lot of time. Well, it is physical, but it'll kill you a lot quicker than other shit will. Yeah. That shit hella stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just odd, isn't it? It's kind of funny because maybe I'm just that much of a free spirit where I've always kind of been like, because officially I've only ever held 2 jobs. I was a GS3 before I enlisted, and then I enlisted. Now, I just said how I was making money before that. I mean, there's always, if you're bold enough, if you want it, you will get it. The law of attraction, I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I guess that would kind of maybe say is the root of all evil then. Now I'm just realizing how much we've talked about knowledge as opposed to money.
You say knowledge, yeah. And because I've said it before to Mendoza, and because I was like, bro, I don't care about money like that. Like, I really don't.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, bro, if I didn't have to use it, I wouldn't. He was like, what would you do then? I was like, I don't know, borrowed and traded. It was like, well, the reason why they came up with money because let's say you had corn, but I wanted beans. I don't want your corn. Like, now we can't have an exchange now. So like they came up with money for that. I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. So I'm not sure. I don't know if it's money. Well, this is my opinion. So with that, I'm like, I don't know what you can exchange money for, and I still feel like knowledge is like specifically knowledge in the wrong hands.
Yeah. So I'm the bean farmer, and you're the corn farmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
and you're kind of being difficult. I could use the knowledge to sabotage your shit, and now you have to bend the knee to me.
Yeah.
That's why, knowledge. Because if you have enough knowledge, you can make people bend the knee. Epstein, and that's what got him killed.
And plus, you look at that, millionaires with money. They don't have money, more money than the elite motherfuckers. And so that money is not protecting them because it's always levels, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the ones with all the knowledge also have all the money. So it really kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. Damn. That was, oof. It was funny because we started off unanimous and then it just like, our answers kept fucking changing.
Yeah, more.
Change it.
Yeah, I mean, y'all just like disagreeing with me, but it's cool.
Yes.
You're like, wrong.
That's when we kind of took a little bit longer to start today. I was texting old Russ the Bus on the side. Hey, man, this is how we going to get Brian today.
Whatever you say. I think knowledge is the root of, I think ignorance is. Which, hey, I mean, that kind of is too.
I think a question for next week should be, is ignorance choice or not?
Damn, I ain't want you to say it out loud.
Hey, damage out loud.
Hey, watch. Hey, middle of the week, he was like, I don't know about that question anymore. You think we should do that one? Just like he did with the Book of Eli one. You think we should do that one? We got to now.
You've told the people.
Hey,
man,
I got what you say?
I got a whole notepad with a bunch of random questions that come and go. So
no, so what did you say the question? I didn't hear it.
Is ignorance a choice?
That'll be a good question.
There you go.
Oh, where'd he go? Is it just us now?
He over there froze.
My uncle got his ass.
He said, shut the fuck up.
Either that or he forgot he had Pornhub up on all the other tablets. That's why it's lagging. He's downloading all them videos.
Oh, man. He over there lagged out, man. Frozen.
Tragic. See, now we can just end it before I even said the question or before you answered it. Just edit that part right there because this is a good lag. Watch it.
I'm the host. I'm the host now.
Yeah.
Look at me. Look at me.
Potential now.
I'm the host now.
Bruh. Nah, man.
I don't know, man. He got a storm going on or somebody just turned on Netflix.
I'm telling you.
Hey, man, what you doing? Turn that off. Turn that off. Damn.
Oh, man. No, for real, though.
He's lagged out. No.
All right, so for those listening, my bad, I lagged out. So I'm gonna just wrap this this episode up. You gentlemen got any last words?
No, other than the weekly message of please, if you have something that you are uncomfortable talking about, or you just want to hear what we think about it, or whatever, get with us. I feel like a lot of our good stuff comes from listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree. But yeah, like I said in the beginning, check the links in the description if you're interested in any of those things. All the information and details will be posted down below. If this is the podcast, if you go to, what is it? If you look in the description, it's still going to have all the same information that you would find on the YouTube video. But again, interruption if you can hear it through the audio. But yeah, until next time, it's been another episode of the Unleashed GodCast. We're out. Peace.
Peace. On your feet, later make up the difference. Toss and turn in your sleep. Family, I know you miss it. Shoot and rock from the streets. Starting to get the picture. Fight for your life to feed. Watch how you turn out winning. This shit is easy to me. I pray to God.